eyes dare to see all the greatness I possess, endless possibility. Look in the mirror, what do I see?
Welcome to another segment of the Seek Elevation Experience. Today, I'm excited to talk about the topic that I'm talking about. Actually, every day that I talk about a topic, I'm excited about talking about that topic. Why? Because when we get together every week, we are elevating. That's what I want to focus on. And today's topic, there's an artist that I've seen some information on, and it made me want to dig deeper to learn about that artist, because it was my type of information that I like to learn when I hear it about someone, because I'm always focused on the awakening of our mental state in all of the areas in which we practice providing products and services, and watching us use our talents and gifts to impact our lives and other people's lives, to influence and to start building legacy. So when I read something that someone shared about this artist, it made me want to dig deeper. I've heard his music, but that's as far as it went. When I read about him, I was excited. This artist, Rod Wave, I want to talk about him in this segment for several reasons, specifically really pointing out 5 specific lessons to just take away from this young man. That makes me excited too, that I am starting to see and hear a lot more younger individuals in entertainment, in sports, in entrepreneurship are just rethinking the game and the possibilities that are there. It makes me excited. But this artist, Rod Wave, actually, after listening to his interview, so after I read information, but it made me research, and it brought me to an interview on the Joe Budden podcast. So if you want to hear the interview in its entirety, go to the Joe Budden podcast and look up Rod Wave. He may have been on there several times, but it's the most recent one. I believe it was just a month ago. After I heard this interview, I said, well, listen, I clapped it up for him, first of all, and said, he's not just an artist. That's a tool he used, the lens he sees certain things out of. But this young man woke up inside his own business. So this story and his story is more to me about an awakening than anything at all. So I'm excited to cover it. Before I get into it now, I just introduced what we're going to talk about, but I want to introduce myself just in case you are new here. My name is ELLAvation. I am an attorney, and I'm also known as the empowerment influencer. Actually, not just an attorney. Let me correct that. Let me not level down what I do. I am the ownership attorney. So everything that I talk about, everything, my vision, my mission, everything that's tied to what I'm out here to do is about ownership. Ownership of mind, ownership of legacy, just ownership of life. And I am an advocate for creatives, sports professionals, and founders with a dedicated focus on first gen achievers, as a first gen achiever myself. But right here, this platform, my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful podcast platform, Seek ELLAvation, is a space for elevation, transformation, and clarity. My aim is to empower individuals who are rising, who are redefining themselves, and daring to step into their highest potential. I really am speaking to the people who want to become the best versions of themselves and own every step of their journey. So you are here. If you are building, you are creating, you are leading, or you are evolving, this right here, Seek ELLAvation, is the platform for you. So let's go ahead and get into this conversation about Rod Wave, which I deem a young man going from artist to mogul. He realized that he is the prize. And when I listened to his interview, he talked about his journey and how it all started out. His uncle managed him, someone who he considered, in the streets, understanding the streets, but took that knowledge and helped manage him as an artist. He wasn't really focused on, trying to become this mogul. He really didn't even know where he was going as an artist. He just knew that there was opportunity. He knew he had a talent. There was a particular talent he had that he felt like he didn't want to show up in because he thought it was soft, it was embarrassing, and he was showing up one way, but he has since embraced that talent, which he has a beautiful voice. So it's not just, you can't categorize him as a rapper. They called him a soul trap or something like that, because he, with the trap music, but kind of soul with it. If you listen to Rod Wave, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, go listen to him. But the point being is, he entered this game in just loving. He just said he loved music. He just loved it. And he knew there was opportunity out there. And there's plenty of opportunity. Opportunity has changed. Where we are at right now in life is totally different than where we were at many, 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 many years ago. There are so many platforms, so many outlets, so many ways to make it happen instead of just focusing on one channel. But with that said, when we focus on the many channels that are out there for us to do whatever it is that we do, whether we're an artist, whether, an entrepreneur, we have to have the wherewithal to exercise those platforms to our best of ability. Because sometimes I'll hear people tell creatives, you don't need XYZ anymore. You don't need it at all. I don't even see why you even entertain XYZ when you have ABC. Well, because a lot of times individuals don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the drive. They don't have the components, the resources to capitalize XYZ to the best of their ability. So sometimes, or ABC to the best of their ability. So sometimes you have to still tap into XYZ, but the conversation should look totally different than what they were before, because you do have other resources and opportunities to leverage. The conversation changed. But I've seen so many people who say, oh, I don't have to go to, let's just say, a record label or this or that, independent or not. And then they try to do things on their own, but they don't have, they need some type of machine behind them. They don't have what they need to push it. And even if we're talking about social media, right, that takes work. Any of us who use social media knows that that is a platform that's there. But if we're not maximizing our time, our consistency, our effort, our strategy, it's just another platform. So yes, you have that platform. Yes, you have that can do it, but you have to know how to actually use it. And so for Rod, he said, he was just using those platforms, but he was trusting his uncle to really figure out the details of what all of that looks like. He said he did remember getting the emails where some people will say, we love your talent, pay us X amount of dollars, we will sign you. And the uncle said, no, listen, if someone's reaching out to you and telling you that you need to pay them, it's not legit. You pay them to sign you, we're not doing that. And that is something that has been done for many years, still continues to be done. And it's not just in music. There's times in film, and I speak to a lot of clients about this. You'll get emails, especially once filmmakers participate in these film festivals and meet different people, and you put your stuff out there, but they'll reach out and sell them on, give me the script, we're reviewing it, there's going to be an opportunity, pay for this, pay for that. And then a lot of times people see their script or a lift or rip off of it in something else. So a lot of times when you hear people saying pay them for you to do something, you have to really think twice about that. That is not just in entertainment, it's not just in entertainment as far as music and film, but even if you're a speaker, such as myself, I'm a speaker. There's so many times that people have reached out to me and say, you know, we want you to be a keynote, we want you to speak, we want you to show up, and this is how much money you need to pay. And I will research that information, because there are times where you have to pay to play. So I'm not going to negate that. There's times you have to pay to play. There's times you have to pay people to be on their podcast. There's times you may have to pay someone to get on your podcast. There's times that you do pay to show up and speak at certain venues. But if you're paying anything, this is my rule of thumb. You have to see, does it make sense on your return on investment to pay to play? You're not just paying to say my name is associated with this, or paying because someone's saying at least you just have an opportunity. No, if I'm paying, what is my return on investment? And am I getting 3x, 5x, 10x of my money that I pay to be a part of this? What type of group am I speaking to? So just gotta be very careful with the pay to play. But you know, his uncle told him, no, we're not doing the pay to play. If they're asking you to do that, I'm not looking at it as legit. And that decision for them was a wise decision. They continued on, and a lot of opportunities obviously opened up for him, and he ended up signing a deal. But like many artists, at first, you know, he trusted everyone around him. He wasn't focused on understanding the business of music. He was just focused on being the creative of music. Thank goodness his uncle was someone he could trust. His uncle that managed him and handled his business is someone that he was able to trust and did take care of him. But he died, he passed, I believe he said of June or July of 2024. And so he had to decide what to do from there. But while his uncle was alive, solidified opportunities for him. One of the big aha moments for him was when they landed a merch deal. It was a $200,000 deal that he speaks of. And when they landed that deal, he said the individuals that they signed with the team, they brought him to the warehouse and show them all different type of things, showing them what they need to do. And after everything that they learned that they needed to do within a $200,000 deal, there's like, yeah, we can't do this. Like, we're doing all the work. They're doing absolutely nothing. And they're making a lot of money off of this. So that was the moment that really started changing a lot for him, when he realized, I'm doing the work, but I'm the brand. The fans were all mine, is what he said. And he had the influence, yet other people were making all the decisions, not just with the merch. He said even ticket sales. He said a lot of individuals don't even understand this, which is true. A lot of individuals don't understand this. When there are sales that are connected to artists, the cost of those sales, be it tickets, merch, whatever, has nothing to do with the artist. So sometimes individuals say, well, why is the ticket this much? And why is it that much? Costs, the people that are on the business side and understand the business side have all to do with the cost, which is fine. But as an artist who's completely detached from the business side, you have no clue what's going on. You are a person who just shows up and follows whatever you're told. You're disconnected from a lot of things, but you are the face. So a lot of times you take the hit from the public. That's just like CEOs of businesses, right? If you are CEO of a company and you're selling products or services, and you have people that work for your company, if something happens with the public interfacing with your company, whether it's through individuals you employ, manufacturing companies that may manufacture your product wrong, whatever it is, or service, your company gets the brunt of that. So you as the CEO, you carry the brunt of that. So if that happens in the business, you get the brunt of what does not go right as the CEO, and that's expected. Well, if you look at artists, if you're getting the brunt of everything that goes on, then you got to understand you're a CEO. Yet, not understanding business and totally detaching yourself from the business aspect. You're taking the brunt of stuff, but you're not operating financially, at least, as a CEO. You're not operating business-wise as the CEO. You're still showing up as the artist, but you take on the onus and the responsibility and accountability as a CEO would who actually runs a business. So that's what he started realizing, is that, listen, all these other people are making decisions for me. They're running the numbers. I get the information towards the end. They're running the numbers. They're benefiting of all of the structure, and I'm just the plug. I'm the plug and play, and I follow whatever's going on, even to the point where sometime when they have their tour schedules and things change, or say, hey, matter of fact, you're going to show up here, they're being told that information a lot of times the same time that fans are being told the information. So there is this disregard, there's this disrespect, and it may not be from ill intention. Regardless if it's ill intention or not, the point being, those who are running the business disregard and don't care about all that. What they care about is their cost, their numbers, and what they're going to get out of it. And that's what he realized, that I don't like this. I don't like how this is being ran. So when his uncle passed, it forced him to do something that many artists don't do. And I use the word force lightly because, like I said, many artists don't do this. So you still have a choice. You can be faced with a situation, be it an artist, an entrepreneur, an athlete. You could be faced with many situations, but at the end of the day, you're still stuck with choice. And so you can make a choice to take an L as a loss or L as a lesson. And a lot of times with the mindset, we take L's as losses and try to figure out a way to stay within comfort zone. But when you take it out as a lesson, you'll see what is it in this situation that can be learned for me to be better, do better, and have better. And that's exactly what Rod did. He had learned the business with his uncle enough. But when his uncle passed, he had learned that I want to be more involved in business, not just perform it. So with that backdrop on everything, I want to just cover a few lessons that we can walk away from this and elevate as a whole. Because although we are using an artist situation, this applies universally in whatever we're doing to service the world, to service ourselves, to build our legacy. And the more that we see representation, the more that we see people make decisions, the more we can see ourselves in it. A lot of times, if someone doesn't do it, a lot of people won't be the first to do it. But when something's done and everybody sees what's capable, then everybody starts to do it. That's just like when as a track runner, I have to bring this up. When the mile, no one was breaking 4 minutes in the mile. Everyone believed that 4 minutes was impossible to be broken. Physically, so physiologically, psychologically, it was impossible. There was actually doctors who were saying if you break or attempt to break 4 minutes in the mile, you will completely push your body to its optimal threshold and you may die. Like, because people weren't doing it. And from people substantiating that thought and belief, from doctors to athletes, people didn't try to do it. They were scared. But it took individuals to say, you know what, I'm going to try. And there was someone who said, I'm going to try. I believe it is possible. And I believe this is the time to do it. And if anybody's going to do it, I want to do it right here and right now. And when that person did it and broke 4 minutes in the mile, what happened? More and more people started breaking 4 minutes in a mile. Breaking and breaking and breaking. What was once looked at as impossible, they started breaking and breaking, and it was seen as possible. And that's the same thing across industries. A lot of times, industries operate based on a standard. And when they operate based on a standard, they'll say, this is just the standard of how we operate. This is how it has always been done. We can't do it any differently. Oh, you have this particular deal in front of you. Well, this is the standard way we move with this deal until it's no longer the standard. And when someone sees another person break a standard, then what looked impossible becomes possible. And so for Rod, what he realized, point one, when he started taking over his business after his uncle passed, when he decided, I'm going to take this L as a lesson and not a loss. This is my opportunity to learn more than I've ever learned before, pick up where my uncle was left off, and also remember all the nuggets that he told me, put it together, and I want to do more now. I'm not going to just go look for another manager and stay in my comfort zone. I'm going to do this. And he said something that stopped me in my tracks. He said, as he evaluated everything that was going on around him, he realized that as an artist, he was in the worst position than everybody that was around him. He was in the worst position. Why? Why did he say that? He said, because when I looked at agents and managers and executives, and I'm going to add this in there, lawyers, anyone that's professional that's representing you or working on your behalf, which they're supposed to be doing, they have 10 artists. They have 10 people they're working with. I only have me. So while they're running around and they're crunching numbers, because they're focused on numbers and they focus on all these different things, they're doing it 10 times. They're cushioned 10 times. So whatever they're making, whatever they can create and earn and do, multiply that by how many people that they're actually representing. But when I'm doing it, it's only me. As the artist myself, I have to constantly show up on stage. I got to repeat this over and over again. I have to perform. I have to be in the studio. I have to do a lot of things to get my slice of the pie, where you as one individual have all of these different people to give you that slice of the pie. Why does that imbalance matter? To be aha when you look at whatever you're doing, when it's just one of you, but someone is making so much more, putting a lot of demand on you, less demand on them, but they're making more 10 times, because then you do have to contribute, or not contribute, but you do have to collaborate to get more piece of the pie. Because if you walk away as the one individual person, you're always replaceable. You're replaceable to everyone else. But you walk away, that affects your singular situation. And that's what he realized, that no, I can't just be the artist, because I have to do 10 times more and still have 10 times less than everybody else around me. So lesson 1, pay attention to everything, whatever it is that you're doing. Are you doing what you're doing 10 times more and still have 10 times less than everyone around you? It should be you that creates people around you that is making sure you get 10 times more because they are around you. Not that they're getting more from you and have other situations and you're getting less, but those around you should be resources and added value for you to get 10 times more. And when he woke up, he said, listen, I'm not going to just be the artist. I'm the business. And everybody else around me, I'm going to make sure I don't just stay stuck in this particular silo. The next thing I realized, and this was a real shift. It ties into what I just said, but this was a real shift. When he realized everyone is getting 10 times, or everyone has 10 of me and I'm only me, so they can do the same thing on repeat and get 10 times more than me when I have to work harder. Another thing he realized is that I am the business. Like what I do, I love creating music. I'm a creative, I'm an artist. I love that. But it's a business. And I am the business. So when individuals build businesses, they're building legacy, they're building wealth, they're building riches. What he realized, when he's the business, that means someone else is building you, right? Building you and saying that you're my business, instead of the other way around, the mentality of I am the business and you are employed by me. Not I am a business that you are running. I am the business. And he realized this as he was talking. He said that, you know, he doesn't really watch football and all this stuff, but he realized in tours, backstage, there'll be certain people that come to him and say, hey, we want you to meet so-and-so and so-and-so. And he was like, yeah, he was always cool with it. Like, let's go. Let me meet them. They like my music. NFL player. I'm not really into it, but if they're a fan, they're a fan. I don't mind meeting my fans. Let's go. And then it came to his attention that these conversations where people said, okay, I want you to meet so-and-so and so-and-so, wasn't just about, I want you to meet so-and-so. There was money tied to that back end. This person was bringing whoever they hired or who hired them to get these connects or show that I have these connects and do this, because that helped them in their value that they're bringing to this person that is paying them. And so Rod was like, wait, so all these people that's coming to me talking and saying they want me to meet XYZ, whoever I'm meeting is paying those individuals that are coming to talk to me. So it's me that they want to meet. But I'm not the one that's getting the money. I'm not the one that is continuing to add value to my business. It's these individuals getting money, not even having a conversation, sharing anything. It was just like, we want you to meet so-and-so. And he said, okay, wait, if it's me that people want to meet, if it's me that people want to see, why is this other person of value? Why is this person who's coming to talk to me walking around like they are of higher value when they have to come to me to meet the individual that requested that from them? So he started to say, listen, it's my name, it's my image, it's my likeness, it's my story, it's my fan connection. This is my stuff. So I'm going to turn that into a situation. This is my name, image, and likeness. And name, image, and likeness is tied to everything. If you're listening and you're someone who's a sports fan in any capacity, collegiate, you probably heard NIL so much over the past 4 years. NIL, NIL, NIL. As if NIL is just this thing that is connected to collegiate sports. NIL is connected to everyone and everything that you're doing. Your name, your image, and your likeness is connected to everything. NIL is not just about collegiate sports. NIL is about your value. NIL is your asset that you were given when you were born into this world. You already started off with value. You started off with your name, your image, and likeness, and how you increase that value throughout your lifetime is you, but your name, image, and likeness is it. So whether you are running tech company, selling t-shirts, doing makeup and hair, making films, you are an artist, you are an athlete, you're an author, whatever it is you're doing, if you're working for a company, your name, image, and likeness is an asset you're bringing to that company. So name, image, and likeness is important. And it was a wake-up moment for him that he realized he had this asset. Other than his gift of artistry, he had an asset that other people were cashing in on. That's what we do as business owners. We look at our liabilities and assets, and we use our assets to build more and more and more value. When you have people working on your behalf, especially in the music industry, you're their asset. Why not be your own asset? And so he said, everyone, what I realize in business is that you need structure, you need finance, and you need influence. I have the influence. I have that component. Everyone else is excelling and exceeding me based on having the structure and the finance. And that reminds me to go back real quickly. When he accepted that $200,000 merch deal and realized I have to do all the work, this is something that I want people to realize, whatever capacity you're doing, whatever. If you accept money, and it's not earned money, it's not your money, it's money that you have to pay back, that money you're given is called a loan. You have to give it back. It's a loan. If you get a business loan, you're going to have to give that money back unless you lose a lot of things in your business or your business fails. If you are an artist, if you are creative of any capacity, you're going to have to give that money back if it's not earned money and it's yours. If you are an entrepreneur and have investors, that's not earned money. You have to give it back. So yes, you're going to have to put in the work. Whoever's loaning you that money, they're able to set the terms and conditions in which and how you pay that back. And a lot of times the terms and conditions is not just you pay it back financially, you pay it back in sweat, equity, your work, which you're actually putting forth and how we demand. So yeah, when they gave him that $200,000 and they show him that warehouse and show him what you need to do, they said, hey, we gave you this money for you to do whatever, but we're not going to do the work because we loaned you this money. So he realized, okay, structure, influence, and finances. I have the influence. I have to now figure out, how do I navigate structure and finances? Not just getting paid enough to pay bills and this. I have to be put in a position where I can finance things. So now I'm not borrowing money. And when you do that in any capacity in what you're doing, whatever, now you have more leverage. You can still partner with people. You can still get deals done by collaborating with individuals, but the more you bring to the table, the better your leverage is when you have conversations. When I represent my clients, I look at the leverage we have. And a lot of times, depending on the deals, we may sit and we assess what everything that's going on. And sometimes it may be best not to move forward with a certain deal because the leverage is not as good. And if the leverage is not as good, then these are the things that you have to expect giving up. If the leverage is better, you give up less. But if you can say, I want collaboration, I want partnership, but I'm bringing this to the table, and the more you could bring to the table, the more leverage. So he could have, say, for instance, did a merch deal, but I'm not taking $200,000. I can bring $100,000 to the table. You give $100,000, but I need this type of resource and manpower from you. So that's a different conversation. But when you're just taking all of the money, you put nothing up front, then a conversation is different. So he realized, I need to be more than just influence. I need to position myself financially, and I have to understand structure. And when he started doing that, that brought him to a whole nother level. So whatever you're doing, take that lesson that when you only bring influence, meaning you only bring the product, you only bring the service to the conversation, and you look for other people to bring everything else, you're already on a losing end of the stick, although you're bringing the actual thing, although you're the actual asset. Other people are leveraging you, and you're not leveraging the situation. So whatever you're bringing to the table, structure is important. One, make sure that you have everything, your business in order. If you are an entrepreneur, make sure that your entity is legally structured in the way that positions you to have the best conversations. Are you federally trademarking the things that can be federally trademarked? Because when you have conversations about your business and what you own and what your assets are, if they're not fully protected, people are already judging how you structure the things you do. Come with the copyrights. Things that need to be fully protected copyright-wise. Don't show up at the table and you have things that need to be federally protected and you're not even, your portfolio doesn't even reflect that. Your leverage is different. Position yourself financially before you depend on someone else financially. If you're bringing investors in, how many times do we hear with companies where they completely depended on the investor? When they negotiated that investment deal, they gave up so much equity where they added so many investors. It may look like a little bit of equity here and a little bit of equity there and a little bit there, but when you add up all of the distributions, their equity equal more than your ownership in your own company. And then when something doesn't go well, or it's not satisfactory to that investor, you're out of your own company, or you're fighting for your life to keep your company. Whereas if you had better structure, you had your portfolio together, you had all of your I's dotted, T's crossed, all of the federal protections that you need because it's yours. No one can walk away with that. But also because it speaks of positioning and prosperity. Federal protection, federal registration is not just about protection. It's about positioning. It's about posturing. It's about letting people know that I'm about my business. So you have all those things in place. You have your operating agreements and stuff in place. You make sure your partnerships agreement are straight, and you make sure you understand these investors agreements. Understanding structure gives you leverage in conversations, not just the influence from the product or service. And then when you understand that, now financing help. Maybe you start with one investor. You take money and learn how to flip money before you bring in 2, 3, 4, 5 investors and you're giving away all your equity. That's what you do as an entrepreneur. Anything the more you can put up front on your own, the better you are in a position. And again, this is not just artists, not just entrepreneurs. Let's plug and play. Put yourself in there. What do you do? What do you do? Are you a photographer? What do you do? Are you a filmmaker? What is it? What business do you run? What sport do you play? What way do you create? Are you a content creator? All of this applies to you. Understanding influence, which you already have, and adding structure and financing to that to change your leverage. The next thing that is a really good lesson that he talked about and he brought up, with him having this awakening, with him having this aha moment of, I want to understand the business. I understand I am a business, and I understand I have the most important asset, period, which is my name, image, and likeness. This is going to ruffle feathers. People don't want you to wake up. They don't want you to have aha moments. They don't want you to get it. People that are benefiting off of your lack of knowledge, your lack of structure, your complacency and comfortability with other people controlling and managing, and you just showing up, having to put all the work in, they love that because it helps them in their business. So I guess there's some things going on with him having this awakening. There's some, I don't know, you have to listen to the interview. There's some things going on. But for him, how he responded to it is, I don't get emotional about it. I get it. I expect people to be upset. He said, I expect people to be upset when they're focused on just numbers and not people. They're focused on numbers, their numbers, and the decisions that are made by anyone that affects their numbers. I expect them to not take that lightly. He said, I expect that. I expect that when I see where money could have been better for me, to put me in a better position for that three-pronged thing, put me in a better position financially. I got the influence, but now I see how to put myself better financially. And with his merch deal, he learned the whole process. See, that's a good thing too. Sometimes what looks like not good for you, there may be a gem in it. So when he didn't like seeing all the things he had to do after he got that $200,000 deal, and they brought him to that warehouse and he's seen all the work him and his uncle had to do, the one thing he was able to do, he was able to learn the process. And so when he cut out the middleman, he learned how the merch was produced, distributed, and sold because he had to do a lot of the work. Now, when he cut out the middleman, he was able to use what he learned, the knowledge he learned, to now handle his own merch. And when he realized how to cut out the middleman, and him and his uncle learned the process, oh, you have this person do this, and this person produce this, and this person distribute this. And when they learned everything and walked away, that decision took him from $200,000 to $14 million. $14 million of his own money. Nothing changed. Same fans, same brand. It was just different structure. He had their influence. Let's go back to these three prongs we talked about. That was a wake up for him. Influence, finance, and structure. He had influence down. Now he had the structure of how to do what he needed to do. That $200,000 in hard labor put him in the position to then make $14 million off his merch. Now, not only did he have influence and structure, that $14 million helped him now have a better position financially. So what he could have done is said, I want other people to continue to do this for me. I just want other people to do this. I don't want to apply the knowledge. No, he said, I want to cut out the middleman. And when he did that, like he said, I can expect there's going to be people upset because they depended on me, depending on them in order for them to build their legacy. And so you have to think about that in your situations. Are you learning in whatever your situation look like, learning something that can be of value add to you to reposition your whole entire life? Are you looking at things that possibly may not seem like the best situation, or maybe you possibly didn't make the best decision on something? The beautiful thing about life is every day we get up, we get a chance to do it over. Every day we get up, we get a chance to say, I have learned or I have lost. If you say I have learned, then you can actually get up and take the information that appeared to be a loss, take the situation that appeared to be a loss and use it to level up. And that's what he did. He learned it, and people are upset. So also don't wear your emotion on anything that you're doing. Know that as you show up in this world and learn how valuable you are and the value you're adding, people will get upset because they feel instead of we can both win, this be a win-win, there's some people who just want to win and just want to control and feel that there are certain people that you should be grateful. You should be grateful that you have your gift and I'm willing to work you. That's their mindset. You should be grateful that you have your gift, but I'm willing to work you. They don't like when people wake up from that. So whatever you're doing, whatever your gift is, whatever business you're running, realize that there's going to be people who want you possibly dependent on them so they can continue to win and eat. And never get emotional about who's supporting you, who's not supporting you. Because you have some people, even they know that you're not, they think you have to depend on them. They think, if they even think my support will help this individual, I don't want to see them win. Not even because you're benefiting them directly. They don't want to see you win because they feel your win is a loss. That's still a benefit. Don't get emotional about that. People who don't want to support you because they think you will not get further and you depend on their support, and they want to see you not get it so you can lose so they can feel like they can win. Don't get emotional about any of it. Know that all of it is expected. So you have to own your own lane. Another thing that was really good that he talked about is when he had this aha moment about, I have the asset, I'm the business, I'm not carrying my emotions around because I know whatever people feel. As a matter of fact, he even said, I know, there's going to be suits and courts and like, let's go. Like, I'm not going to be emotional about it. That's when he really got, I'm a businessman. I'm more than an artist. And when he really got it, that next lesson was, now that I'm a businessman and all those things we talked about, I want to be a part of the conversations. I want a seat at the tables, every table. I don't want anyone just talking on my behalf and I don't know what they're saying. I want to know what's being said about me. Gone are the days when you just show up to me and tell me this is where you show up, this is how things are done, and this is what the costs are. I want to be a part of these conversations. Rightfully so. If he wakes up and he realizes I'm the business, I am the CEO of myself, I carry the asset, the name, image, and likeness for everyone else. And those around me, you're going to make me 10 times more. And I'm not one of the 10 people that's making you 10 times more. Then yes, I need to be a part of the conversations. He said, I don't want to be a part of the conversations to control people, but I want to be a part of it to understand. 1, 2, I want to start building these relationships directly myself too. I want to build these relationships. I want to know what's being discussed, what decisions are being made on my behalf. How is my asset being used? When you request my asset? Was there some other back end conversation that ignited this conversation that I'm not privy to, that everybody else is benefiting off? So he really started to get it. And this is what helped him go from artist mindset to mogul. And in whatever you're doing, that's going to help you. Now, when I ran professionally as a track athlete, during my latter years, I did the same thing. After having a conversation with one of my agents, and I learned, I tell a story all the time. You can watch past stories. So I get Rod, what he's saying, that is only one of me, and I have to show up and do so much more to get whatever. And God forbid anything happened to me, it's over. And then you have 10 of me. That's the same thing I learned. When I was in my latter half of my professional track career, I was speaking to one of my managers. We were having dinner, and I believe it was, I don't know if it was in Germany or Italy. It was one of those places. We was having dinner, and the woman I am, always been, no matter if I was competing as an athlete or not, always been a businesswoman, always been about my business, and was having a conversations just about sponsorships, appearance fees, all types of things. And the one thing that I learned from my manager then, who was very forthright, very forthcoming, very transparent in our conversation, was just talking about how those deals are done. And in front of us athletes, we may see this one thing and we think that was the deal. But behind that deal, there was so many other components to that deal, so many ways other people got paid more than that deal in front of you. Secondly, a lot of times the deals that's in front of you, you just think, oh, this is a deal that's in front of me. And it's an opportunity that my team is presenting me, and they'll get their percentage off of this deal that we negotiate, whatever their percentage is. But no, a lot of times those deals that's in front of you were deals that were being paid to be put in front of you. So while if you decide to go with the deal, giving your team their percentage, whatever was negotiated, they may have already received monies from other conversations. And so not just is that agent making a lot from having multiple athletes, but they're making a lot from having multiple conversations to put things in front of their athletes. You know, you may think you're showing up, getting your appearance fee, and you just have to pay your percentage, but there's that conversation. There's conversations that go on to even get you to show up. So there's a lot that goes on with business. It is not to hate the game, it's to understand it and learn it and make sure now you insert yourself where you need to be inserted, like Rod did. I want to insert myself in these conversations so I can see exactly what's happening. Now, when I learned that, I said, I want to manage myself, because at some point, your talent, your relationships, they're going to get you the lane. You're going to be able to show up. They're going to get you the gig, the job, because people understand your talent, not just because you have a connection, but because you have that connection and they understand you can deliver on what they're looking for. So I decided to just rep myself. I repped myself, entered myself into meets, and there was no conversations going on my behalf. Monies was coming directly to me, because also a lot of times you pay your agent and they get their percentage. When you show up and you compete, you get your prize money, parents' fees, whatever your fees are that is due you, you don't get it at that meet. You'll get it when that agent decides they're going to give it to you. So you can compete on an entire circuit, get home, and you're waiting for checks to get cut to you from when you actually competed. It could sit in their account. It could be accruing interest. It could be doing whatever it is it does for them, but you don't necessarily get it. When I cut out my manager, money came directly to me. And I know what the money was. I know how the conversations went. But the one thing I can say is that when I did that, as an athlete who needed to focus on performing and showing up, which means I needed all my wherewithal. I needed my physical body rested and ready and positioned. I needed my mindset. So I needed my mental in the right place. I needed my emotions aligned. You need all the things to show up to perform well. It's not just about talent. It's all things. Repping myself, managing myself, having these conversations, switching different hats, and the firing of the brain made it very challenging. Very challenging. So someone asks Rod, how do you do this? How do you be the artist and you do this? And for him, he has his method of how he's doing it and how it's working. But I would say for the most part, yes, all of those professionals are very important components in order for you to do your best. Listen, to do my best, I need to show up in the capacity in which I'm here to do my best in. I don't want to be operating 10 or 15 different ways and then try to show up here. It's leaking from me of who I need to show up here. So all the professionals are important. The managers, the agents, the attorneys, the accountants, whoever, all are important. But what's really important is understanding your business and inserting yourself in how all those important components are operating on your behalf. So from my personal experience, I wouldn't cut agents and managers and stuff out. Even when your talent gets to the point where your name is actually getting you the deal and not that agent or manager, I still won't cut them out. What I would do is renegotiate contracts, have different conversations, and bring that leverage to the table. But you still want to hire people and put people in the position for you to show up in your best capacity, just as an entrepreneur. Right now, my goal is I'm checking off the list the different individuals I'm hiring and bringing in, especially because I'm going to be running 2 companies. Outside of the law firm, I am now shifting a lot of my media to the media company. There's a lot that is opening up there where it's me presenting, me educating, even this podcast. I'm shifting everything under that umbrella, law firm on another umbrella. I need individuals to come in to help me, like we talked about earlier, be 10 times better, earn 10 times more, and to be able to do 10 times more through them. So he found his way, and he's going to show up, be at every table, every this, and do that, and still be able to navigate being an artist, which is great. You have to find what's best for you. But I say find this, which no matter how you decide to do it, what is best for you is to insert yourself as the business owner and not be detached on what is actually going on. And so lastly, continuing to listen to this young man that made my heart smile, really did, is that, and it kind of ties in the first 4 points that I just made, is he really realized I'm the prize and I'm moving like it. So now that I learned these different things that I needed to learn, now that I know the 3 prongs, now that I know the structure, the finance, and the influence, I put myself in a position to have the finances. I've now structured the things I needed to structure, but I'm now going to bring the people in the capacity, in the way that I want to bring them in. Not how they tell me they're being brought in, but how I want to bring them in. I have these things. Now I can have, my conversations are different. I can say, you know what, man, these NFL athletes are wanting to meet me, and it's adding value to other individuals to meet me. I want a sports agency. These athletes, my name, image, and likeness, my assets it can be diversified because my interest is beyond me showing up as an artist, right? people love me as an artist, but it's spewing over in so many other different ways. So I need you understand this. He talks about a friend of his who you can give him 10 NFL athletes and he'll tell you all the stats, where they went to college, if they were drafted, what round they went in, what teams they've been on. He said he can tell you everything about it. I know nothing about it. So bring your knowledge and your structure in that realm to my structure. And now I'm going to have a sports agency. And I can now team up with you as far as a sports agency. And I have the finance to make sure it's done. I mean, this evolution and this wake-up call for him, beautiful. And I hope this is a wake-up call for you if you're not doing that. And I hope it's a continual push if you've already started doing that. Started putting all the dots together. Put yourself in the position. He put himself there. I have accomplished these things, but now to 10x what I did accomplish, I'm gonna find people in areas that I'm interested in that have the knowledge there. And that reminds me of, there was an interview I was listening to with Shaq, and he was on a podcast. Oh, it's slipping my mind, their podcast. But he was on the podcast when they were former NFL players, I believe. It's the two guys that's on the show, I believe, or three. But Shaq was talking about it. They asked him, how did you become this mogul? You own all these businesses, you do all that. How did you do? Like, you went from basketball player to this. How do you go? You know what Shaq said? How did I go from that? Because I know I don't know everything. I put the people around me that do know, and I'm in control of that. He said he had read, I believe it's Investors for Dummies, Business for Dummies. It was one of the books. You have to go find a podcast with Shaq and those three gentlemen. But whatever book he read, he said it was a lot that someone told him to read. It was a lot for him to even remember. He said, I even try to remember it. But when he got to that one section, that's what he remembered. Out of that whole book, I got to the section that talked about collaborating with individuals who know about the thing you're interested in. I may not have to know about everything in that thing. I'm going to understand how to run my business, but you know this thing, I'm going to collaborate with you. And I'm going to make sure I understand enough of how this collaboration can excel. And that's what Rod did too. Now that I put myself in a good position and I'm going to start the sports agency. I know this person right here, that's this. And I want to do this. I know that. And so he realized I'm the prize and I'm going to move like it. So when in his shift, he is leaning into structure. He's leaning into financially positioning himself. He says, hey, I got the money. You got the brains. What we're doing, that's my leverage now. I can keep ownership. Or if I don't want to keep full ownership, I can at least have control and leverage on what that conversation looks like in ownership, because I'm bringing it. That's just like Tyler Perry. He'll tell you when he did all his movies and the plays and he saved up all this money, what helped him keep his ownership, even working with major production companies, is he bet on himself. He put his money into it. But I put my money into it, but I need your arm in this. And they're like, okay. That goes back to what I said earlier. The more you're taking from other people, when you be signing deals, when you take these investor deals, and it's a lot of money, this is not you getting paid. This is you getting a loan. And it also dictates how much control is there as well. So he's leaning into structure. He's leaning into finance. And he already obviously mastered the influence. And with him adding those two other pillars to it, the three pillars, he fully is now moving like a CEO, running his business, providing the service of performance and gifts, merch, And not only that, with him intentionally surrounding himself around the people that's going to do it the way that he envisions it to be done outside the music industry. He's also now, and this is usually what happens, when you master one thing, or you start mastering something and you elevating in that, it is a ripple effect. It's like transfer of energy. You start realizing all these other things is now all of a sudden happening. They talked about how much his streaming is. It's like crazy. The numbers were crazy in the US and outside of the US. You go watch the interview to see. I don't want to quote the wrong number, but I know when they said it, it was crazy. And so now he sits back making all that money, not just the multi double digit millions from merch alone, because he learned the process, but now with this music. And when you realize you're the prize, your behavior changes. So now he's winning, not just there, he's winning in how he's structuring everything to continue to win. He even said he had to change his circle. So that those things you wake up on. So Rod, this is the thing. This is what I want to bring it home at. After covering all of that, and hopefully you can insert it into what you're doing, no matter what it is. He's on his last album. He's finishing. This is his last album. He's done with his deal. He's out of his deal. Like him figuring this all out right now. Ripple effect. Beautiful timing. He's out of his deal. To be able to walk away way better than you came in the game. It's so beautiful. And it can happen when people wake up. How you walk into any situation, you're supposed to walk into it to leave better, whatever it is. So we figure out what that is. With him having one album left in his deal, his publishing is up, his commitment to tours, all of that is up. And he figured out the formula. So yes, thank goodness he said he's not emotional, and he expects this to not just rock the boat, probably put holes in certain boats and people feel like they're going to sink. He understands what's going to come with it, and preparing for that and surrounding people around it for it. And he said, matter of fact, if you have been winning so hard off someone else in the way that people are winning hard, and you don't feel some type of way and fight, then he honestly would think something's wrong with you. So he expects it. But and I hope all is going to be well with. I trust all is going to be well with him. So yeah, that is a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. So the bigger message here is not just for artists, not just for creators who are taught to perform and not protect. This is for every individual that is using their asset, their name, image, and likeness in whatever you're doing. Don't just perform. Protect. Leverage. Level up. Do it all. Do it all. If you are in the industries in which I practice, this is non-negotiable. This is the time. Study, understand. If you are a full-time employee, still know that your asset is adding to that company. They're paying you, right? So the dynamic is a little different, right? They're paying you. However, you're bringing an asset that brings the valuation up for their company. So although they're paying you, you are value added. So you need to be paid based on your value, especially if you're in a position where you're creating some type of content for them to use once you leave that job and it continues to be theirs. Conversations possibly may need to be had where what you're doing for them is not a work for hire, so that you have leverage when you do leave the company. Maybe you need to understand licensing. Yes, these things can still apply to you as an employee. They absolutely can. If you do any type of educational events or anything outside of it, you can say, hey, I'm showing up. This is not going to be a part of my employment. This is me using my asset to even add even more value to this company. This is still mine. So licensing conversations may need to be had for frameworks that are presented to the company, or something at least outside the additional pay that you're getting. So just rethink your life as a whole, no matter what capacity you actually are operating in. So I hope you got those lessons, those gems, and you're sitting down rethinking you being the prize. You're sitting down rethinking how you shouldn't have to work 10 times harder to have 10 times less. How can you make it possible to add value to others while they're adding tremendous value to you? Especially if they have the wherewithal to have 10 of you that they can work with. How are you getting them, when you're working with them, how are you getting them to help you also get 10x out of that partnership, out of that situation? And I will tell you this in closing, as a reminder to tie all of that in, the way that's going to happen is you understanding the 3 prongs. You understanding financial positioning. If you're depending, asking, requesting, all of that outside of yourself, you are controlled more. The less you do that, you're controlled less. Make those conversations change differently in those partnerships. Maybe it's not finances, it's something else, or you're bringing the money to the table too, equal to equal money, whatever the situation is. And then you understanding structure. Whatever you're doing, you can't just move. You have to understand the structure in whatever you're doing, especially if you are running a business. And no matter what industry you're in, you should have an entity. So you're already CEO of yourself if you're a creative or an athlete, but you're the person. What you need to create, and you should create, and I hope you have created, separate from yourself, is an entity that gives you the protections that you need, that gives you the posturing and positioning that you need. That changes conversations as well, where it's not you against other companies, it's company to company. So structuring, understanding the structuring in what you're doing, and stop just moving. Move like you are the prize. Have a portfolio put together that reflects your asset, name, image, and likeness. All of your assets, your name, image, and likeness. And then continue to level up in whatever influence that you are putting out there in the world. However you are influencing people with your products or your service. And when you put those three things together, you too can start moving from just being whatever it is that you are to actually being a mogul. Whatever you are to actually establishing ownership. Whatever you are to actually moving to legacy. There is a shift, but there's things that happen in between that. In March, I'm looking forward to the date of March. So far, tentatively, that's what it is. I'm working with my team to try to figure it out. But in March, I'm going to bring an amazing webinar where we're going to talk about some things, especially when it comes to those components that helps individuals to structure. There's so many people out here who have elevated to a level of producing some type of results, seeing some type of success, but is completely exposed and vulnerable to mistakes that can completely cost them. There are too many people out here, such as Rod, in the beginning, who say, I have this gift, but are not having their aha moments and waking up and seeing all this together that can shift them from that $200,000 to 14 million. His may have been $200,000 I owe you back to 14 million all mine. Yours may not be that. Yours may be $200 to 14 million. The difference isn't the money. That's not the end. The 200,000 to 14 million versus 200 to 14 million, that's not about money. The M it's about is mindset. So thank you for tuning in and engaging with your ears and your eyes, because I know you are, and I know that you are writing down stuff, and I know that you are saying, this message was for me. This message was for me. I know you are. It is for you. It's for you. And this is a powerful conversation. It's for you because the more you know, the more you grow, the more you learn, the more you can earn. I don't care how much you're earning. It's unlimited potential out here. The more you can earn, not just financially, but the more you can earn just in value, just in life, the quality of it you can earn in quality of life. It's for you, but it's not just for you, because when you share, you show care. So don't keep this segment to yourself. Don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Don't keep this inspiration, this nudge to yourself. I want you to spread it. I want you to tag a friend, because all of us together, when we all start elevating together, there's a shift, because there's an energy exchange. So until next time, I want you to keep striving. I want you to keep growing. But most importantly, I want you to keep seeking elevation.